Hello friends, we are here in Mark chapter 9 today. So there's a couple of things in Mark chapter 9 that are explained more than other gospels. You know, most things in the book of Mark are shorter because it's a much shorter book altogether. But there are a couple of things that Mark spends more time on than other things, and so I'm going to highlight those things. So in this chapter, you know, there's a handful of pericopes, and one of them is the Transfiguration. And Mark spends a lot of time on the Transfiguration, and he also spends a lot of time on the healing of a boy of an unclean spirit. But then after that, it kind of goes into one of Jesus's sermons, and the other Gospels cover those much larger. So today I'm more going to talk about the Transfiguration and the healing of the boy with the unclean spirit. So what happens is Peter, James, and John go up a mountain with Jesus, and it's interesting to me that he only picked those three, but he did, and he goes up the mountain, and when they got there, it said, now it doesn't say in this gospel that they were sleeping, but in other gospels it does say that they woke up and they saw Jesus, and for some reason this cracks me up, but there's a part here where it says that his clothes turned a bright white. And the funny part is that it said whiter than anybody could have ever bleached them. Like, just in case you were wondering, these are not like normal white clothes that have been bleached. These are like to the point of glowing. You know, so, and then it uses the words, you know, transfigured. You know, Jesus was transfigured. Now, I was watching a sermon about this earlier today, and he said that the word transfigure is the same word that we get our word metamorphosis. Metamorphosis? One of those. But essentially, it's a transformation that starts on the inside and comes out. I thought that was a very interesting perspective. So, Jesus is transfigured, and he sees that they see Moses and Elijah. And Peter says, you know, it's good that we stay here. Let's make a booth. Let's make a tent for Moses and Elijah. I've heard that what he's meaning here is that let's build like you know, a place of honor for them. You know, let's build a statue for Moses and Elijah. And it said because Peter didn't know what else to say. Anyway, it happens, and as they come down, Jesus says, I don't want you to tell anybody what you've seen until you see me rise from the dead. And they go, what does this mean? He rises from the dead. Like, yeah, what is he going to die? And it's interesting that in this chapter, later on, he foretells his death again. So here he's saying, I'm going to die and be rose again. And then he does it later on in this chapter, and if you'll remember, he did it in the last chapter too. He's continually telling them, I'm going to die and be risen again, and they just still don't get it. It even says here, it's like they just didn't understand. So what's interesting to me, the most interesting part of this passage, is what happens next. And that is that they come down the mountain and they see they see all the other disciples, not Peter, James, and John, but the others. And they are arguing with these scribes. And Jesus is like, what are you arguing about? And they said, they didn't say anything except for this man comes up to him and says, I've asked them to heal my son of, demon possession and unclean spirit. And they weren't able to do it. And Jesus says, you faithless generation, how long am I to bear with you? And he even says after that, how long am I supposed to, I forget how he says it in the ESV. But he's like, how long do I have to deal with you? He's just so frustrated. Now it's interesting that we have seen in the past, in this book, that the disciples were given the ability to cast out demons. And they've been able to do it. But for some reason, this time, it didn't work. And so, Jesus asked the guy, how long has he been like this? And he says, from childhood. This demon, it throws him into the fire, and it tries to drown him, and it's trying to kill him, and it keeps him mute and deaf, and I guess he didn't say that, but Jesus clues us in later on. And so, this evil spirit is trying to kill the boy. And so he said, if you can you, heal him? And Jesus says, if you can, all things are possible for those who believe. Now this is, to me, the most important part of the passage. It's the most relatable. The guy looks at Jesus and says, I do believe, but help my unbelief. So we're back to my kick, we're back to what I feel like this section of this book is just hitting so hard. Jesus comes right out and says, anything is possible for those who believe. And he says, I do believe, but help my unbelief. Now, how relatable is that? I mean, how often do you feel like, look, I believe, I have a belief that is this much, but it can always be more. I feel like people don't understand that belief is almost like a muscle. It's like you can exercise it. You have the ability to make it grow. And God can help you with that. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do exactly what this guy does. You're supposed to say, God, I do believe, but help my unbelief. So, if you're ever in any kind of situation where you're lacking faith in God, I hope you would look to this passage and say, Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. All right. Well, that's Mark chapter 9. All right, have a great day. Bye.